In this video, I will show you how you can add a call trigger interface in your Flutter app. That's why I've got these two devices. So one of them is Android and this one is an iOS device. Let's say I want to make a call to the second device and want to be part of an online meeting. So I'll simply add this second device's caller ID. I hope it's correct. As you can see, an incoming call notification is sent to the second device, and when I accept this call, an online meeting is established using VideoSDK.
Before setting up this project, let's discuss the key components and services that are foundation for the system. When it comes to handling notification for incoming calls, we utilize Firebase. Firebase provides Firebase Cloud Messaging or FCM to deliver push notification to both Android and iOS devices. For iOS user, APN, CallKit and PushKit, they work hand in hand to show incoming calls, manage the UI and make the experience feel native. We also have a very basic Node.js server that is going to listen to those incoming call requests and requests like updating the status of the call. And we are VideoSDK, we provide infrastructure for your meeting. To get started with this project, very first step is to clone this repository. Then we have to configure Firebase inside our client app. For that we can make use of Flutter CLI. And finally, we are going to run this app both in Android and iOS devices. In case of iOS device, there is one extra step, which is registering this app to Apple developer account. So we will discuss that later in this video. Simply copy this HTTP URL inside your computer, inside any folder you want. You can clone this repository by simply typing git clone this URL. And let's call it Flutter call trigger. Once you have copy of this project, you can navigate to this folder and let's open it inside VS Code. Now let's see how we can configure Firebase inside this client app. To configure Firebase to your client app, first you have to create a new project. For that you can navigate to this URL. Here you can simply create a new project. Let's give it a name, Flutter call trigger. Just follow the default instructions. Now we can continue to dashboard. To configure Firebase in your Flutter app, you have two options. You can either do the setup manually by clicking on this Flutter icon, or you can make use of Flutter Fire. With the help of that script, you can easily configure Firebase inside your client app. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So first let's navigate to client folder. Here we have both folder, iOS and Android. All you need to do is to type this script flutter fire configure. First you have to choose a Firebase project. So we created this project. Now you can select which platform you want that Firebase configuration for. So let's untick last three. And that's it. With one script, Firebase is configured inside our client app. Running this app inside an Android device is pretty straightforward. First, you have to connect your physical device. As you can see, my live screen is visible to you. Then you have to install all the Flutter dependencies. So I am in this client folder and I can run this command. Once you do that, the last step that needs to be done is to run this app. As you can see, this app is launched inside my physical device. But the thing is, I can't make any call at the moment because I haven't configured server. We will surely do that later in this video. Now let's see how we can launch this app inside our iOS device.
First, we have to register our client app to Apple developer account. For that, we need to follow 3 simple steps. In last video, I talked about these 3 simple steps. So if you look at this timeline, there you will find this Apple developer account overview. So you can refer to this video before starting with this step, because first you have to register your iOS app to Apple developer account so that you can enable those voice over IP services. Alright, so let's navigate to this folder. First, we have to install all the dependencies. Now we can open this app inside Xcode. So what I did here, I connected my physical device. So you can look at in this available device list, and its live screen is visible to you. All you need to do here is to run this app. So simply click this icon. After build step is done, as you can see, this app is launched inside our iOS device. Now let's start with server setup. Now let's see how we can configure our server. So if you look at this server file, you will see you have to add a service JSON file here. Then you have to provide your database's URL, and finally you have to add your network's IP address. So I will show you in a moment. Let's start with very first step. In settings, in service account, as we are using Node.js on server side, we can download that JSON file. Once that done, we can simply add this file inside our server directory, and we can reference it here. Next step is to provide Firebase database URL. For that, first we have to start our database. So in build, you will find a real-time database. Here we can create a new database. Once that done, we can copy this URL and add it here. Also make sure to allow these two rules. We want to write as well as read from this database. Last step that remains is to provide a network's IP address. If you look at Wi-Fi setting there, you will find your network's IP address. So simply copy this value, and in your server.js file, you have to specify that local IP address, and our server will be running on port 9000. So let's run this server. If dependencies are not installed, you can install them by simply typing npm install. As you can see, our server is running on port 9000. The last step that remains is to add this API URL to this .env file inside a client folder. But the thing is, we can't add this local host address. We have two options. We can either host our server somewhere and then we can add that domain, or we can make use of HTTP tunneling. We can use ngrok for that. So all we need to do is to copy this HTTP URL. So we can use this command ngrok HTTP this URL. We also need VideoSDK token. For that, you can navigate to app.videosdk.live. Here in API keys, simply click on this key icon and copy this OAuth token and paste it here. That's it. That's all the steps that we need. Now both the devices are running. Let's see a quick demo. I've got these two devices with me. Let's see if everything is working fine. As you can see, an incoming call notification is appeared on this device. And when I accept this call, an online meeting is established using VideoSDK. That's all from me. Thanks for watching this video. If you face any sort of problem in an implementation step, you can always join our Discord community. Also, don't forget to give it a star to this repository. I created this playlist for you where you can check different example of this call trigger interface. So we have example for Android and iOS, and this video was an example of a cross-platform app. And there is one more video I will be uploading this week, which is about React Native call
CallKit. Stay tuned for those videos. Thanks for watching.